See?
All right, I think we're up. Welcome back, everybody. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. I hope you're in for a nice long video. We're gonna get chatting about a couple of topics. We're actually gonna really try and answer some questions this time, unlike normal. But since we're just getting started with this video, hit that subscribe button already because we're gonna keep dropping content, and we're just putting out more and more. We're releasing at least 2 videos a week. So hit that subscribe, hit the bell, make sure you're up to date on everything, and we'll get started here. All right, Brandon, what's going on, man?
How we doing, Brady?
Not too bad, not too bad. Coming off a deload week.
Yes, you are, man.
What you been up to?
Not too much. I've been eating and sleeping. Yeah, it's pretty much it.
Yeah. How's training been going for you last week?
It was good. Last week was all right. I had a pretty shaky, I think it was my A day. No, it was my B day. My B day leg day was like a little shaky just because the front squat just totally crushed me. But this week is much better. Much better. Cool, my back isn't feeling it nearly as much. Last week was the week where I was like feeling it, Mr. Krabs, and nothing.
Yeah, I remember like telling about that.
Anything that required my low back was not happening.
Right. Yeah. So now you're picking up some lower back loading, which is good, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So yeah, I'm feeling much better than last week now that the food is going in and I'm sleeping so much better. I used to go to bed at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, not even blink twice, and then wake up at like 7. But now I kind of go to bed like an old person. I'm out by like 10 o'clock sometimes now, and I wake up at I'll just wake up at like 4 in the morning, like innately. But then I have to like go back to bed obviously till around like 6:30, and then I'm kind of up. So I'm out. I'm actually okay with that sleep and the food coming in now. So it's definitely showing, in terms of recovery.
Nice, man.
Yeah, man. How you been?
Can you bring your mic a little bit closer?
Yeah, for sure.
I think you're a little bit quiet. Gotta make sure the people can hear what you gotta say.
Good point. Yeah, it's usually up here.
Yeah,
right. We're good.
Yeah.
You got me.
That's a lot better.
Nice. All right.
Cool, man.
Turn the gain up a little bit. How you doing, Brady?
I'm good, man. Deload was interesting. It's so funny. My deload was probably a bit different than what most people would think of a deload. I literally didn't go to the gym for 5 days.
See, I was interested in that. I was wondering if you were just going in there and being super sub max with everything, or if you literally just didn't go in.
Yeah, no, I didn't train at all for 5 days, which that was a little weird. I managed to fill my time, of course. And honestly, a couple of things happened in that week. First of all, well, I should preface it with this. I switched over to a meal plan instead of doing macros. There's nothing wrong with macros. I want to first point that out. Just for me, I was getting to a point where trying to think of what my meals were going to be for the day was just causing me more stress than it was worth. And I just ended up overanalyzing meals and getting too worked up about it. So we switched over to a meal plan, which has been awesome. It's so easy. I love not having to think about what I need to eat. I just fucking put it all on a plate and eat it. So that's been really, really nice. But on top of that, I'm now starving. I think the deload did a couple things. One, I think I was overeating a little bit in my macros. I wasn't tracking as hard, so I definitely let myself eat some extra cows. Probably a couple cheat meals. I was definitely overeating. But yeah, so now being back on a meal plan, I'm super hungry. But I definitely think having the time off and rest, and I ate my non-training day calories all week. right? My training day calories are probably 500-600 calories more than my non-training days. And so to eat that amount less for a week, is actually a pretty big amount. So I got really hungry over deload, which is good. It's good to have an appetite, because honestly, I wasn't to the point where like eating my meals was dreadful. But I definitely like didn't have any desire to eat my meals. I was like, oh, guess it's just time to eat again. But now I'm like, I am so ready to eat.
Good.
Like, which is nice, it feels good.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's a cool little thing that's happened in deload. My joints feel so much better. There's a lot of things that I didn't really notice were problems until I'd taken the deload. One specifically being my joints felt awful.
Yeah.
My knees were really, really taking a beating. Just doing loads of squat patterns, lots of loading through the knee. My elbows were starting to feel it. That was probably part of why my push days just always felt like garbage. And on top of that, I didn't realize that this was part of the issue, but I think we actually talked about it on here once, is just kind of throughout the day, I was just super exhausted. Like through the whole day, I'd be really tired and almost like foggy in my head. And then it would come time to train and I'd finally be able to flick the lights on and like go to work.
Yeah.
But through the whole like first half of the day, I'd be exhausted. I'm tired. I'm drowsy. I'm slow. And I was just under-recovered.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had a deload. What is it? March 6th. I haven't had a deload in almost a year. Like the last time I had a deload was right when quarantine started. And it's because we were trying to figure out what my training was going to look like. And so I just trained with bands for a week while we were kind of getting everything situated and figuring out what was going to happen. We were like, you know what? Let's put in a deload here while we're getting it all figured out. Work with bands, and we'll work with, time and stuff. And we'll go from there.
Yep.
But since then, I haven't had a break. Like, I crushed the rest of my diet, just like balls to the wall training. I came out of my diet, going even harder. And, it just keeps going up from there. I've really been pushing things extra hard recently, and it caught up to me.
Yeah. After a year, man, I'd say that's pretty good.
Yeah, and that's credit to a couple of things. The programming that Nick does is really intelligent, and we watch these factors really closely. The way we eat, and I keep good track over my sleep and my other recovery methods, and I keep my stress down really low, which helps a ton. I'm a pretty stress-free person. I do a good job at releasing any stressful issues that come up, and learning how to separate barriers between work stress and actual life stress, because they are different. But I don't have too much of an issue of kind of flipping the work switch and being like, okay, work's done. Those issues aren't my issues anymore. Yeah. Right. Which helps a lot. So those things definitely help me kind of carry throughout the year. And, it was going to come eventually, right? There was going to be a point where my body just needed a rest. Yeah. Specifically, I think the big thing there was mostly my joints. My joints really just needed a fucking rest.
Yeah. Like, looking back on things, you were saying all of these things.
I know.
Like, I remember you literally being like, dude, work is so stressful right now. And also the knees, you're like, dude, my knees are killing
Hurt.
me. Yeah. And I didn't even like do anything. I sat in my chair all day.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
When
dude.
we go back and look at all of the little things, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Which gets by.
And Nick noticed it. He was like, there's a lot of little things that are adding
Mhm.
up. It's like, we want to take this deload now so that we can continue to have a long off season, right?
Mhm.
We want to jump on top of it now before it actually becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did, and it freaking worked.
Yeah,
I
dude.
feel awesome.
Surprise.
Whoa.
You do something properly and it works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
yeah. So that's really good. Deload was fun though, if you haven't seen it yet, that was when I recorded my first video outside of the podcast, which is a full day of eating. You guys get to see the meal plan that I'm on right now. It's, obviously it's a non-training day one, but you'll get the idea. And yeah, so that was fun. That was cool. It's fun to add to the channel. I got to think of some more things and work on other stuff that kind of been sitting on the back burner a little bit just because I've been focused on trying to juggle all the other pieces of my life. So it was cool to have, that extra 2-3 hour, sometimes 4 hour block of my life to work on some other things. And it was nice, it was cool.
yeah, for sure. I'm glad everything kind of worked out for you, dude. That's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Hell
Feels
yeah.
good. Feels
Hell
good.
yeah. I think what do you think are like the biggest things that people kind of mess up in terms of deloads?
I think a lot of people don't know when to end their deload. For one, people are either think it has to just be a week, or that it has to fit in some structure. It really doesn't. You should really kind of judge your deload based off of how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like my deload was 5 days. It was it? Yeah, it was 5 days. And that's because after the 5, I felt good. All of my other markers were good. I was ready to be back in the gym. And so we got the green light. Your body will give you the green light on when it's okay to come back. And if one of your markers for needing a deload is that you're just starting to resent going to the gym, that's a really big one. The gym should be fun for you. So, if you're starting to resent going to the gym and all these other markers are coming in and you take your deload, you should be, looking forward to going back to the gym by the time your deload's done. Otherwise, something else is very wrong and you're really not enjoying what you're doing anymore. And that should tell you something else, right?
Yeah.
The other big one is that because they aren't training, they decide that all of the other things don't matter. They'll let their sleep lack because, well, I don't need to sleep as much. I'm not training. Or they let their diet slack because they're not training. Or they let their water slack because they aren't training. A lot of these things that we do, that we kind of revolve around our training, and like we use our training as a reason to perform well on them. Like hitting your meals on time and drinking enough water and sleeping and all of these other things. You're like, deload's a great time to sit on the couch and watch TV.
Yeah.
Right. A lot of people let go of all of the other habits that are your recovery habits. Right. The whole point of your deload is to recover.
Yeah.
Because you need the extra recovery. But instead, people use that time to throw out all of the other things that come with bodybuilding or hard training or powerlifting or whatever you want to call it, or whatever it is, right? They throw out all of their recovery, techniques and modalities because they aren't training anymore, when really they should be making sure their recovery is maximized. And so people come back out of a deload, and then they're not really in any better of a spot because they just lazed around, and instead they're probably in a worse spot because, for one, they didn't move their body at all during the week. And so now they're super locked up and tight. Nothing feels right. Their body is really thrown for a loop because its general activity has now decreased by a ton. And, they probably overate because they just felt like eating. Right. That was the concept. I'm like, well, I got to eat more to make sure I recover. When really that's a small portion of it. And likely you don't actually need to eat more. You should probably eat the same amount or less because you're not training. So anyway, that's a big one, is you let go of all of the other important habits to recovery. And then the next one comes actually after your deload is done. And that's going back into the gym and hitting it too hard too quickly. And kind of just throwing yourself right back in the same hole.
Yeah.
Right. You walk back in, you finished your deload, you made it through. Let's say you even did all your recovery things properly. And you're like, let's go. It's fucking leg day. And you do 100 rep rest pause on the hack squat. You have officially negated everything you did in your fucking deload.
Like the idea is to give you more runway, and you're essentially
Right.
just shorting your runway by coming right back to the spot you left off.
Right. So, taking a little bit of time to, I guess, give yourself a little bit of space between trying to crush yourself in the gym again. You should still train hard and train with effort. But don't walk in there and try and bury yourself. Right. Use the runway you've been given. So that's kind of the three things. I guess that was a list of three. I don't even remember what the first one was at this point. Oh, time. The first one was time. Just talking about people not knowing when to come back or when to be done, and thinking that it has to be a certain structure. The second one is letting up on recovery techniques in your deload. And then the third one is coming back and absolutely crushing yourself on your first day, and essentially negating all of the recovery that you just had in the week, or however long it was.
Yeah. I'm going to add one more on there too, just off the top of my head. The people that like they deload, but then they don't deload, I've had.
Yeah, that's a good one.
the other one is like, oh yeah, I'm deloading, and to them deloading is like coming down like 10 pounds. They're still like bashing their heads against the wall, but they aren't, maximally exerting themselves. So they take that as a deload and nothing recovers. So and that ends up not being a deload. That's just you kind of regressing in that week.
Yeah, basically. It's like you just had like a bad week of training.
Yeah. And you didn't prioritize your recovery well enough.
Yeah. So that actually brings up an interesting point. So there's a couple different ways to deload, right? Like specifically my deload, I didn't train at all. A lot of deloads still have people training. But actually, AJ, if you haven't watched that podcast, go watch that podcast. It was episode 17. He didn't actually talk about it in the podcast, but he talks about this a pretty decent amount recently. It's not so much a deload as it is a devolume, which I think was a really, really good way to put it. Take all of your volume and bring everything back down to base level. And that's a good way to give yourself some extra ability to recover, but still be training.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to say deload so that it would make more sense to people in what you should actually be doing, especially if you're training, right? Is you're not necessarily removing, you're not, but not strictly removing load. You're really trying to pull all of your volume down, right? All of the things that bury you, and bring it back to base level that you know you can recover from, and then move from there.
Yeah. I would still add a little bit of a decrease in load as well.
Yeah,
Just from my standpoint.
And I do. When I, if I program a deload, honestly, most of the time I'll bring it down depending on the person, right? I'll bring down volume, and then a lot of times the people that end up getting deloads the most are my athletes that are more power lifter geared. And so really we pull their volume down to like, not volume, their load down to like 65% of what, their normal working weight is. And that seems to work fine, So bring the volume down and then bring load down with it, and don't try to then recompensate the fact that you brought the load down by filling it with more volume, right? Because people will bring the load down on, say what would be a 6 to 8. They'll bring the load down, but then they'll take it all the way to like 20, which you then didn't gain anything from it. You didn't reduce your recovery demand.
Yeah, and the intensity is still there.
Yeah.
That's another thing that you kind of want to bring down as well, is that intensity.
Yeah. So you kind of got to do both, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think across the board, in my opinion, reps, sets, and load should all taper back.
Yeah.
Or you're just not in the gym, kind of like you did.
Yeah.
If you're an athlete who, unless you're like really messed up, then I would maybe suggest just taking a nice week. Like your joints are just destroyed. You're really, really run down emotionally. Sorry about that.
You're okay.
You're really run down emotionally, like pretty much all the things that you kind of had. Then I would maybe just like take a nice week. But if it's kind of like it might be time for like a deload, but you're an athlete and you don't want to really be too out of it, then I would you're someone who can't stay out of the gym, then yeah, sets, reps, load, intensity within those sets, and definitely taper back across the board, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree. We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Before we get too far into this, let's crush best thing, worst thing.
Okay.
What how do you want to start?
Would you like to start?
I'll start.
Nice.
Well, it's kind of hard for me to start because I've been at a deload. I haven't trained in like a week. Well, I trained today, I guess. Oh, okay. Since I'm trying to think of like when we filmed the last podcast.
AJ or?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was the last one. Okay. So, worst thing to happen to me in the last week-ish. This was my last session before my deload, and of course, it was RDL day. Got to finish on RDL day. And I was in a completely new gym. Of course. I've been in so many gyms recently.
You've been hopping around, dude. You're gonna get GTD.
Yeah. Feels good though. It's good to have some different environments.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so I was in a new gym. I was up in Rockport. And it's time to do RDLs. Again, just like the week before, I felt great. Everything was like full steam ahead. I was gonna crush it. Like, I long paused my final warm up set, and I set up. Except when I set up, I generally have like my markers on the bar for where I set up my hands. These bars were different, and the knurling went like super far into the bar. And generally, my hands are right about where the knurling ends, towards the
Okay.
middle of the bar.
Yeah.
But this one, the knurling was in super close. And so I set my hands way too far in.
Okay.
And then I should have just set it back down and refixed it. But I was already into it. It was like do or die at that point. And so I unracked it and I walked back. And that's when I noticed my hands were way too close. And I started my reps, and my hands just kept running against my legs. And it just like mentally took me right out of the set. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about my hands running against my legs.
Yeah.
And so when I was supposed to get 5, I only got 3.
Is that added friction, dude?
Well, it was really just the mental game that it played with me.
I was totally kidding. I have been there too. Like, you grab too close, and then you're riding up your legs, and you're just like,
Yeah.
fuck.
I'm like, I can't stop thinking about this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one got me. I mean, technically still a rep up from the last time I did it, but I've now had 2 weeks in a row where I'm like, I should have had this for 5, and I had some setup thing that messed it up for me, which is all my own fault. So I don't know. Just gonna have to fix that next time around and actually get it right. Nick told me that it's because it's a plate thing. It's exactly 5 plates. And so he's like, just throw 505 on the bar and just finish it. Like, just call it good. Like,
Yeah.
just move on and do what you got to do. Like, stop thinking about it. I'm giving it too much thought and credit.
Yeah.
So I might just do that. Throw 5s on each side and rock it.
Word.
Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I feel good about it.
Yeah.
I will say, it moved really well. It was pretty cool. It was definitely like the most precise and fastest I've ever moved the weight.
Okay.
Which is, I went back and watched the video. I was like, oh yeah. There's easily 5 in there. So I've got it, just time to take it down.
Exactly.
And then start working towards 5.5 plates.
Hell yeah. Crazy, dude.
It's March, so maybe we'll shoot for 6 by the end of the year.
I was just about to say, we'll give it some time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the rest of this year, my weight gain and off-season push changes dramatically.
Totally.
We definitely aren't pushing weight as much. It's really a lot more of let's fill out where we're at, a little bit slower progress wise, to focus more on putting on muscle tissue just instead of just sheer size, right? Or sheer mass. So it'll be a little bit different. I can expect progress to probably slow down a little bit. I mean, there's got to be a barrier somewhere, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
There has to be some point where I smash my head against the wall for a little while. But I'm going to pretend that there's not for as long as I can.
Yeah, just don't.
I'm just going to keep going until something actually stops me.
Yeah, don't look back.
So, we'll take it as far as it can go. But if I find a wall soon, I'm completely happy with where things are at. I say that until I find the wall, of course.
Yeah. Knock on wood.
Be like, what the fuck is stopping me?
You not being able to get to 230.
I know.
Literally.
But yeah, so that was probably the most annoying thing that happened this week in the gym. Best thing that happened in the gym also happened on that same exact day. Oh, actually, I don't know if I can say that. I had a really good push day yesterday.
Okay, cool.
My incline press, just like it was my first day back after deload, and so I had push, and I just felt super good, super locked in. Like I didn't even, because the whole goal coming back out of here was not to go to failure, like leave a couple in the tank, and I still PR'd.
Nice.
Like
That's very nice.
yeah, like I threw an extra 10 pounds on my down set and rep PR'd it. And on my top set, I matched reps with no problem. Like not even a spot, nothing. So it felt good. Also, I went way deeper. Like my range of motion was just like way deeper, which was cool.
Yeah, very. Okay, good stuff.
Yeah, so that was really cool. That was a fun
Nice.
session. I had a lot of fun with that one. I was just like kind of bopping around the gym by myself, middle of the day, nailed my incline. I went and did a Smith overhead again, and that felt really good. Instead of disappointing myself with weighted dips, I just did body weight and just kind of repped it out and enjoyed it. And that was fun. I really love the machine fly that's there. It's probably one of the only fly machines that like feels right for me that I've ever used, at least. And so like just crushed those, and I just like every single movement that I went and did just like went perfect. And I'm sore as fuck today.
Nice. Are you usually sore like that after?
No.
Yeah.
I also had a really good pump, which also
Yeah.
wasn't very normal.
Cool.
Yeah, so really good push day. Push days have definitely been on more of an upswing recently, which is refreshing because I was definitely beating my head against the wall with those for a while. So hopefully can pick up some ground with push over the next little while. Try and get it to at least be acceptable in comparison to the rest of my lifts.
Yeah. Relativity, dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so that was a good thing, man. What about your week?
Let's see. The best thing that happened is kind of random, but I've been having like this is not really like training or diet like revolved around. I've been having like strings of nightmares like for the past like week. Last night was the first night I actually didn't have a nightmare, but before that I had like 5 days of straight nightmares. And I actually was talking to Brady about like one of these nightmares in particular that was super weird. So like I ended up having a nightmare with someone in my dream. This like famous lady. She's like famous for being a vegan lady. You guys might know her actually. And the following night, Bowden had the same exact lady in his dream, which freaked me the fuck out.
You know what that means?
Telepathy. No, I don't know, dude. Beats me.
It means you need to move to Corning.
Yeah, I gotta get away from this bad juju, dude.
I think so.
Yeah, so outside of those nightmares, things have been really good though. I've been eating a lot more. I've been going to bed way earlier. I've been waking up earlier. My lifts are going well. And the food is really kind of the biggest thing for me, in my opinion. Like definitely eating much more. So that is good.
Yeah.
Body weight is still the same.
So
yeah. So I might talk to Nick about that just because it's like it doesn't, in my opinion, sometimes you got to give yourself like 2 weeks to really see like some decent change here, and like food is really started to pick up in the past week. Like the week before that, it was it was in, but now it's like I'm like nailing things, so which is nice.
Yeah. Is there a chance that with all of these things that are clicking, your output is a lot more, your body's running so much more efficiently now,
That's
especially
also what
that
I'm
you're,
thinking.
you're sleeping,
Yeah,
that you probably need more.
I feel like I have upregulated
Yeah.
in a sense, and that I will need more food than what's going in, which is
Yeah.
fine. I'm fine
'Cause,
with
like,
that.
yeah, because like those things happen, when you suddenly all of the boxes start being ticked, your body's like, oh, it's go time,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
And things kind of kick up a notch, and then you gotta adjust again.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, that's probably what you need.
Mm-hmm. And Nick and I don't really we don't really talk too much in terms of like like check-ins and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like a lot of it gets played by ear. So I'll probably be talking to him the next like week or so about this
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, for sure. Um,
Yeah.
in terms of lifts, I didn't get folded today on my leg day. I for some reason like 185 that one day, like I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago. I think I got it for like 4. My body weight was heavier though. But yeah, I haven't seen that in like 2 weeks now. So I kind of like I want that back, obviously.
Yeah. That happened to me a lot though when I was going
Yeah,
after 3 plates.
the front squat is a pretty hit or miss movement for me.
It is, dude, it's so hard to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Last week it was my feet and my hips
Yeah,
and
and
my
you're going
back.
you're going through so much more lower back loading right now.
Yeah.
And it's hard to combat like a front squat when
Mm-hmm.
you're just fatigued back there. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Um,
I crunched the numbers.
yeah.
137, dude.
You're even further down.
Further down. That's why I'm thinking. I think I've like, because all of this stuff is like falling into place now. I
Yeah.
think I'm like not, I don't want like not say metabolism, but like I've definitely upregulated in some areas for sure.
Yeah, dude.
So
Big time. Big
yeah.
time.
Yeah. And my hunger is also here as well. Like I
That's
get
good.
hungry and I'm like, oh, like to the point where I'm like, oh shit, I'm kind of like getting a little like queasy hungry. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, you definitely gotta eat more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like go get yourself some Mickey D's.
Yeah,
Right.
which is why I'm gonna hit this meal after this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. Like I have to prioritize that now. Like I
Yeah.
can't not just like fucking a month ago I would have been like, screw it, we'll just go all night and then I'll just go to bed and I'll try to eat tomorrow. But no,
Right.
I have to nail it. So
yeah, definitely
not fucking around anymore.
Ooh, can't even speak. A food push is coming big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, front squats are weird, man. There was a while in there, and sometimes I think about my training this way. I'm like, I think I need to pull back on the day before my front squats if I want to perform my front squats right.
Yeah, you kind of got a back burner a movement for
Right.
it.
Like I barbell row the day before my front squats. And especially because like a huge part of front squats is just like lat mobility and having, being able to actually get here, right? And if my whole back is tight as fuck from like crushing back day,
It's not gonna move
my front squats go to shit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some times where I've purposefully pulled back a day before because I wanted to progress, a movement. Just prioritizing a movement. And maybe I should stop prioritizing all of my leg days. Give some other body parts a chance to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
it's
you've
just
gone
hard,
full
man.
force on the RDL.
I love leg days.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to just have legs. So
Dude, it's better to have them now and try to get them later.
yeah, true that.
There's a kid in the gym that I see doing legs like almost every time I'm in there, and I'm like, and he's like a younger dude too. I'm like, the kid's gonna have some nice quads when he grows up.
Yeah, if he doesn't destroy himself.
Yeah, I know. Like the stuff that I do see him doing though, like he does a lot of volume. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
yeah,
I'm sure.
but
Most
he's young. He needs time. He'll hopefully he falls into the
he
right
might
path.
learn. He
Yeah.
might learn. There's plenty who don't.
Mm.
Yeah, man. But I don't know. I really want to be like stupid strong at all of my leg movements because I like them the best. I think they're the coolest of the lifts. So yeah, I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to front squat a stupid amount of weight. I'm like, man, it'd be really cool to RDL like a stupid amount of weight. And so my head is just so set on like doing those. Like I really, really don't give a fuck about bench pressing. like I really don't. I'm like, I don't think it's cool when people tell me what their bench press is. I don't think it's cool when I tell people what my bench press is. It's just I just don't care.
Yeah.
And like rowing's cool, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Um
That's the only upper body movement, in my opinion, also.
yeah.
That's like kind of cool and because no one rows big weight, dude. Honestly.
Yeah.
No, you see dudes bench big weight, but then they go and they'll grab those mini barbells that only go up to like 90, 100 pounds, and they'll row that maybe,
Mhm.
But it's like, dude, you could totally be rowing like 3 plates right now with your mass. Like you should not be rowing like 25s on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean I can't say I don't care about it. I've definitely put a lot of attention on my rows. So yeah, I really just don't care about push day movements as much as I care about, well, when I think about it, essentially hip based movements.
I was gonna say, I think you like the row because you're also able to kind of
Because
hinge.
I'm hinged over, yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
strong
home.
in that position. I'm good there.
Yeah,
I'm confident and being like that. So I gotta get better at push though. So
I think we all could, dude. Honestly,
honestly, it's hard.
it is.
I give credit to people that are good pushers.
Yeah,
Because I don't know. It's like remember when there was a time, and we still talk about it. They're like Monday is International Chest Day, and like, what's your bench, bro? Kind of thing.
yeah,
But it seems like the general consensus of people that you and I talk to, everybody's like, push sucks. Like
yeah.
benching sucks.
It's
And
just it doesn't click as well. I feel like just across the board, it just doesn't click as well. Like leg movements in general don't click for people, I think. Maybe just across the board kind of movements just don't click for people if they don't understand like the general like mobility, stability, strength kind of thing revolving around like their spine and their hips and their shoulders. Like if you don't have like an understanding of that stuff, then you're probably not very proficient with your presses or your squats or like anything like that. But I find that like when you start to like access these like new ranges of motion or these like new,
skills and
more
techniques.
control. Yeah, exactly. Like more control over your movement, the better and more fun those movements get, obviously.
Yeah, becomes way more enjoyable for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, maybe that just has to do with how many joints are actually in play in those movements. Like a squat, you've got your ankles, knees, hips, and then in a bench, you've got, I mean, I guess you have your wrists, but predominantly it's shoulder, elbow.
Mm.
Um, so it feels less complicated. And so people just gravitate towards it. I don't know. Also, you're far more externally stabilized in a pressing movement. I think that's actually it.
Yeah, the stability.
Yeah, you're stabilized by a bench. right? In a squat, you can fall over.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Which is probably why everyone likes doing leg press over squat and isolation movements. Is
Yeah,
just because it
people like
takes.
having external
Yeah.
stabilization for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably it.
That does make a lot of sense.
That's probably it. Especially if you're new into the gym,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you just gravitate towards the thing that are going to help you do the job that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. But I just think as you actually get deeper into training, push just stops working. Like it just doesn't. And I think it kind of has to do with it is way harder to push like a bench press set than it is to push like a squat set.
Yeah.
Like trying to push for extra reps on a squat is way more doable than a bench. Like your resting position in a squat is fairly easy to stand in for a long time, right? You can take a second to gather your thoughts and breathe, but in a bench, you're always forced under the weight in a less advantageous position than you are in a squat.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's because of the amount of tissue that you've got. There's much less upper body tissue than there's like lower body tissue. So it can handle it a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely lower body handles volume a lot better than upper body does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah, like you really don't do bench sets to 20.
No.
People do squat sets to 20 all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a muscle that burns out a lot quicker. And once it's out, like it's done. It just doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like usually you can take like a breath or two at the top or maybe 3, and like you'll usually be able to get one more. Not so much on like a press though. Like especially an overhead press, it's kind of like not game over.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your last rep is your last rep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're done, you're done. So yeah, anyway, that's pressing. Ooh, I wanted to ask this question because we've never actually talked about this before.
All right.
Why do you think men's physique gets so much hate?
Yeah, I just think it's because they don't show their legs,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. They're like notorious for not showing their legs.
Right. Well, you don't have to show your legs in the division.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's like because of that, it's kind of like like you don't have to like focus on your legs like the bodybuilders do. Like they have to put in that like blood, sweat, and tears like to get those like massive quads. But then like, these guys can just walk up with some like board shorts and just like not even care.
Yeah, I think a part of it is because the sport is bodybuilding, not upper bodybuilding.
Truth.
Right. So I think that's part of it. I think there's a couple parts to it, right? I think another part of it is there's a much smaller barrier to entry.
Yeah.
In men, and nobody take that personally. Right? But there's no men's physique guy stepping on stage at 250 pounds. Right. I will say the men's physique guys have gotten a lot bigger recently. Most of them actually would probably do well in classic if they developed like a set of legs.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have such crazy shoulder to waist ratios, because that's what the whole division is, right? They would probably do really well in classic. So yeah, it's at this point now that classic is a division, I think a lot of people are just like, why don't you just go do classic? And then probably the third piece is a fitness influencer piece. And it seems generally like douchebag fitness influencers are also men's physique guys, and it gives a kind of stigma or image, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like maybe it falls in the same category as like being able to kind of like not cross your T's and dot your I's, where these guys can kind of just like, I don't want to say that a lot, like a majority of them do it, but like a majority of these guys that you'll see on Instagram, particularly, they've been on something, but they won't like tell you, like, even if like you asked, it's one thing being asked and then being honest, but it's another thing being asked and then just like straight up lying to someone's face.
Yeah.
Like I think it's obviously way more credible when someone is able to kind of like openly talk about whatever they've like done in the past, if they've been asked, and like they're cool with that, because in reality it just comes down to like that person, you know what I mean? And if
Yeah.
someone's kind of like dodging like something like that, it shows their character. So like if someone can kind of just like hop on stage, so to speak, and not train their legs and just train their upper body, it's like not a very similar thing, but like it's kind of like where those people end up gravitating to for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and see what your thoughts were on it. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings or get anybody upset about it, but I saw the question and I was like, let's see what the thoughts are.
Yeah.
All right. Important question now. Pendulum squat or hack squat? Have you ever used a pendulum squat?
Yeah, I have one at my gym.
No?
I don't use it though. I have in the past. And like you can load the fuck out of it. You can like I could put like 6-7 plates on that thing and like go at it, but then I go to a leg press or a hack squat and I can only put on like a plate or two. It's much more humbling when you, especially like, I don't want to say that my hack.
That is completely dependent on the piece, though.
I was just about to say my
Right.
hack is very different than a lot of other people's hacks.
Your hack is like
vertical.
Yeah, like it was built in like some dude's dirty garage, and he wasn't sure what he was supposed to do, but he knew it was supposed to kind of replicate a squat.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, people have to stand up to squat, and and that's how he built it.
Yeah, my hack is pretty humbling. The leg press is too, in my opinion, but I can obviously load that much more. The pendulum, in my opinion, does a really good job of it's much easier for people, for beginners. I think just because like the movement and the amount of room that they have, like they're not exactly locked. It's kind of like an isolation, but they're not exactly locked. Like their torso isn't pent up against something with their legs locked like against the leg press. And this one, it's kind of like your torso angle can kind of change a little bit. Your hips can kind of move around a little bit and your legs can move around a little bit more. So I think a pendulum is a little bit more forgiving, and a hack is a little bit less forgiving. What was the original question again?
Pendulum versus hack squat.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I kind of answered that then.
So which one wins? Which one's better?
I think hack squat will take priority. Pendulum is a good bridge for someone like even learning kind of how to squat, in my opinion, too, because I've had people that just don't move too well. But then you put them on a pendulum and they just move much, much better. So if you can kind of use that as a bridge, if you can use any movement as a bridge for any other movement, that's kind of like what we do. We don't just kind of put someone into a movement that they can't do and then just have them bash their heads until nothing happens. You have to find a different movement, a regression, so that you can progress that movement and then you can move into the next one.
You think?
In my opinion, yeah. I mean, right off the bat, if you've got someone,
bashed my head off front squats long enough.
Well, yeah, I think that's I think it's a little bit different in terms of your training experience too. Like your front squats probably didn't look very pretty. Like right off the bat.
Dude, my front squats were terrible.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I couldn't even back squat at that point either. Because my hips were so bad. Like I couldn't fucking do anything.
The other thing that I was going to say is that you should also be like actively working on something to help fix the problem. It's not like you just like go into like a pendulum squat and all of a sudden you can like squat like that. Like you probably have to you have to actively be working on your hips and your spine and things like that.
Yeah. Oh man, pardon me. Yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna pick hack squat personally. And mostly because, I mean, granted, some hack squat machines are really bad, but I see it more often in pendulum squat machines where the curve of the pendulum is not natural at all. Go ahead.
What way are you facing also? That's the other thing. Because with my pendulum squat, if you rack up with your back against it so that you're facing forward, it will wreck you. But if you face the opposite way, it jives real nice.
Yeah, so that's a V squat.
Word.
Which is, there's so many different types. And minorly different.
Yeah, I hate that
shit. Minorly different, but different enough. The pendulum, what's nice about the pendulum is when you come down, I'm going to pretend, okay, here's knee. Fingers connecting are the knee, right? And my wrist is on the platform, okay? When you're coming down into a pendulum, you're just coming down into your knee, right? Which is super intense degree of knee flexion and hip flexion, almost like without really any angle change at the ankle, which is, it's beneficial, but it's really, the movement ends up feeling like a leg extension.
Yeah.
With a hack squat, you still get a little bit more like a squat pattern. And depending on the pendulum squat and how that arc is actually set up, it can just be super messed up. Like if gotta make more. If you're listening to this on audio, I'm sorry, I'm making hand figurines here. But so pendulum, right, is like this. And depending on how long that arm is to the actual seat that you're into, it can throw off the whole movement pattern.
That's you facing away? Yeah.
So a lot of times they just don't quite line up right.
Yeah, it feels like garbage when you pendulum. This is the first time I've had a difference between pendulum and a V squat. No lie. Like I just call a machine. You know what I mean? And you can, I guess, use it a couple different ways. But yeah, when you face towards it, feels way better. For that reason, it gives you a little bit more room, and you're not just kind of just crunching into your knees. You're able to kind of open up your hips, set your hips back. You can set a torso angle. It's much more forgiving in a V squat than it is a pendulum squat.
Yeah. But as I was saying, I'll take the hack squat all day.
Yeah, same.
I just like linear hacks way better. They're easier to make work for more people. You can still get stupid amounts of knee and hip flexion in them without too much ankle change, which really is the whole goal of a hack squat anyway. And yeah, I think they feel better. They're easier to get the mechanics for it. So that's my own personal opinion. They're both viable options if you only have one. And if you have both, try them out and see which one you like better. Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying?
Know what I mean?
Know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. All right, man. Next one. What's your opinion on test boosters?
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
That you would find it like GNC.
Sure.
They
In general, doesn't have to be GNC. In general.
Are we talking natural test boosters or like test?
No, I'm not. I'm not talking about TRT or HRT. I'm
Okay, all right.
like on a bottle test booster.
You are better off just flushing your money down the toilet, in my opinion.
Yeah. So if you're someone who is already generally healthy, they're going to do absolutely nothing for you.
Jack all.
Yeah. And they're just a really expensive way to take a pill for 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember I've tried them out too. Like back in the day, I think it was called P6 from Cellucor. They had a natural test booster.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, right. Like Brady was saying, like if you're just like if
If
you're
you're
just a
healthy,
dude, yeah, you're
you're a
healthy.
healthy, normal dude.
Yeah. And even if you're not, a natural test booster is not going to help you if you have a serious, if you have a serious condition where like your testosterone levels are really, really low. Taking P6 won't help you. Okay. P6, don't come at me. But like P6 isn't something that you're going to need. You're going to need to talk to your doctor, and your doctor's probably going to do something with that.
Yeah. If you're at that point where, you've taken, a panel and your test is actually low, just unless you're dead set on being a natural bodybuilder, right? And at this point, you're competitive, you've competed multiple times, you've got your pro card and staying in natural is where you want to be. Any of those circumstances, I mean, good luck. But if that's not you and you're just someone who likes training, probably talk to your doctor about just having, HRT or a TRT dose.
Yeah, like if you're in that position, yeah, like you're just gonna have to talk to your doctor because, or how did you get there? Like, are you extremely obese and are you over the age of 55? Like, these are all scenarios that would kind of point you toward. Well, I mean, the over 65 thing, like naturally declining, and you kind of want to talk to your doctor about that to increase bone density and muscle mass. Like, don't get me wrong, guys, there is a place for things like that, and it's totally fine.
Especially as you get older.
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like pushing the curve over, to the right, So like if you're someone, especially like in women, when they get to the age of 30, typically bone mass declines. So like by the time you're 65, let's say like when you're 30, it's at like 50, and I'm just giving a relative number, just a random number, 50. And then by the time you hit like 70, that number has dwindled all the way down to, let's say, 10, right? Let's say in like your 40s or in your 30s, you decided to do a little bit of something. You work out, you increase bone density and things like that. You can push that curve. I'm just using women here, but like you can push that curve a little bit further to the right. Okay, so that you don't end up with like in that 10 category. You maybe end around the 25, or 40. Who the hell knows? And that is better. If you're older, you want to have denser bones and more muscle mass, whether you're a man or a woman. That's just what you want because you don't want to be brittle.
And you'll feel a lot better.
Yes, you will. Yeah.
Yeah. So in males, in healthy males, generally after the age of 40, your natural test levels year after year decline. And it's at least over here in the US, it is very, very easy and normal to get a TRT dose of test. That's what that means, testosterone replacement therapy. Yeah, it's completely normal. I don't really know why we're talking about this. Almost none of our listener base is this age.
It was a question.
Yeah. Yeah. So if, you know what, let's bring this back to our normal audience. If you're not on the older side, if you're under 40, you're healthy, you're young, test boosters are not going to make you Ronnie Coleman I'm
Natural
sorry.
test boosters. Yeah.
Yeah, natural test boosters aren't going to make you Ronnie Coleman. They, in
Yeah,
fact,
buddy.
probably the only thing they're going to do for you is give you a placebo and give you the confidence to lift more weight.
Yeah.
That's probably it. Is
Hmm.
you'll go, oh, I'm on test boosters now. I can lift more weight in the gym, and you will,
Yeah.
because you decided that was what is happening.
And to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? The absolute doubt, they will only increase those levels by like a couple,
Midgets.
a couple
Midgets.
points, a couple.
Yeah.
You can get on like some tea or some shit, and those levels will skyrocket. You can hundreds sometimes, depending on like what people do. Like a natural testosterone booster will not even compete.
Yeah. Yeah. If you really want the effects of boosting testosterone, just go fucking take testosterone.
Just eat some like peanut butter, like naturally, just like eat some fats. And if you're obese, I would lose that
Lose
weight,
some weight.
honestly, because
Lose some weight.
generally speaking, the guys that are suffering from that stuff, they are obese.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. Like I said, right at the beginning of this question, most of my answers are geared towards if you're a healthy individual, healthy young individual, then it's not going
Common
to do
thought.
anything for you. Yeah. Save your money, buy food,
Yeah.
invest in your own sleep.
Hmm. Yeah, that's another thing
you
too.
know um
Stress, sleep, literally all the things that we preach
oh yeah, dude,
will
stress
help your
stress is
testosterone
huge.
levels. Yeah. Yeah.
Stress is huge. um and talking about things, you brought up women a couple of times. Women, if you're struggling with weight loss, weight gain, um stress, sleep, any of these things, the big one that's not really talked about much, is actually probably your birth control.
Mm.
If you are on a hormone-based birth control, understand that your hormones are being fucked with, right?
Hardcore.
Under Depending on what pill you're taking, and a number of different things can be happening in your body that are stunting your progress, or affecting kind of what you're trying to achieve. So take that into mind.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've seen firsthand with a
Mhm.
lot of different women, is just how much their birth control messes with their headspace, messes, because it's playing with a ton of different hormones that dictate how we function and how we think and how we feel, and you know putting on muscle, losing weight, gaining weight. It seriously is a hell of a pill,
It
that
really
is
is.
really, really easy to get.
Handed
Um,
out like candy.
yeah. Um, so, just if you haven't thought about it yet, and you're a woman that's listening to this, you're one of like the 7% that listen to us, understand that your birth control might be affecting you more than you think it is.
Yeah.
So that was just a disclaimer I kind of wanted to put out there, because a lot of people don't realize how much that affects you
It
as
really
a
does.
person.
Yeah. Like now that you mention it too, like I know that you just said that all the women that you've talked to so far, dude, yeah, same. Like all the women that
Yeah.
I've talked to that have been on it. I mean, random, like maybe like one like golden star was like, it's amazing. But
Work.
like a
Yeah.
handful of those people were like, my face broke out. I
Yeah.
gained all this weight. I'm super emotional. Like it just doesn't really
Yeah.
sit well with them.
I'm depressed. I'm
Yes.
anxious.
Yeah.
Yep. I lost my sex drive.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things, right? It's intense, and I haven't looked too far into it, but I almost feel like it's not as regulated as it should be. For just how much it changes somebody.
Yeah, especially if we're talking pharmaceutical. Yeah, like what they really should do if they really wanted to get serious, that they definitely don't do, is they should like test your hormone levels and see exactly what's going on. And then they should give you like some sort of like a titrated pill, like honestly, like a custom. That would be kind of dope if they could come out with like a nice little custom, because, just giving one pill to a handful or like an entire pop, you're going to have these outliers,
Yeah.
far and probably in the middle as well, like somewhere close to the middle. You're gonna have a handful of people that obviously react well because that's generally how things go. But like best case scenario, you want to have something that doesn't make you crazy, want to pull your hair out, make you gain weight, give you all this acne, but still do what it needs to do. So
Yeah, and they make non-hormonal birth control, but it's
hmm.
it's generally comes with a lot of scary stories.
Non-hormonal birth control. I haven't heard of that.
So there's IUDs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that
Dude,
that's
that's
not
still yeah.
that's still a thing. It's
IUDs
non-hormonal.
are still heavy hormonal.
Some of them, the copper ones are not.
Copper?
Yes.
What the fuck?
Anyway, we won't delve too far into the topic of birth control, but it is a very serious topic, especially if you're kind of wondering why you're in a bit of a funk recently. Kind of take take a look at that. And if you have more information you'd like to share, I'd honestly love to hear it.
Same.
It is
Yeah.
a topic that's actually really interesting to me. So if you'd like to talk about your experience or any of that stuff, I'd more than willing to listen
Yeah.
and learn.
And like all this stuff, this is just our opinions, and
Yeah,
we would love
absolutely.
to learn more.
I'm not trying to tell anybody what they should and shouldn't do. It's totally your body, and you can do what you want with it. But I wanted to put that point out there because I don't think it's talked about enough.
It should be. It should
Um,
be put out there.
yeah, because a lot of times it's just thrown out. Oh, well, starting to become sexually active. Better just hop on birth control so I don't have kids.
Yeah.
And honestly, it ends up fucking up a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because it's so easily prescribed.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, we'll move on from there. That was fun. That question originated at Testboosters. So yeah, males,
Mhm.
don't take them. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money for sure.
Yeah.
Many better things you can put your money towards because they are expensive. Like they're so expensive for trash.
Natural test boosters.
Yeah.
I think the Cellucor thing was literally like $65
Yeah.
for a bottle. Yeah.
Like 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. People buy them though.
Mm-hmm.
So they still sell them. But yeah, that's
Sure.
that's the supplement industry. Anyway,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
speaking of supplements, what's the most caffeine you've ever taken pre-workout?
Then it's not really something that I've like actively tried to track actually. Like Calvin and us like all talking about it earlier, we were like, yeah, it's like 500. I honestly think probably like 500 to 600 milligrams, maybe, just because I've like done like double, triple scoops of pre-workout. Like even like intra workout, I'm like not enough because I just don't feel anything. Just pop another like scoop in my mouth, kind of a
Yeah.
thing. That was a while ago, but yeah, I'd say maybe like upwards of 600 is probably the most I've ever taken.
Let me think. Definitely during my diet, I think probably 2 hours before my workout, I took it's called a Foo Bar from Redcon. That's
Mhm.
400 milligrams. And then pre-workout, I took 2 scoops of Total War.
Oh, what? Whoa. Oh, dude, Total War is like literally like fucking me up, dude. Like I take a half scoop and after my workout, my heart rate can't come back down.
Yeah.
I actually might not take it next time I work out.
Yeah.
Crazy, Brady. You're
Can
crazy.
recommend going back to a high grade pre-workout.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That's fucking with me.
Yeah.
And Brady, That's like almost a gram, probably.
Yeah, it was.
That was yeah.
About a gram.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you feeling it, Mr. Krabs?
Honestly, probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. At that point in diet and prep, I didn't feel shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I didn't even know what a pump was anymore. Like, everything just hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hell of a time. I hope to never have to do that again
Mm-hmm.
and be as extreme as that was. I think this off season is going to build me up good enough that I'll be good to go. I just started that prep from such a bad spot. We were just like milking every last inch of runway,
Yeah.
and it was tough. Ooh, all right. What works best for building forearms? Do you train them directly?
I haven't trained forearms directly since like 10th grade. Like, yeah, like sitting over the bench and like
Yeah.
going up and then flipping your wrist and going this way. No, I don't directly train my forearm. And even if I did, I wouldn't want to do that because my forearms are like the size of my biceps right now. So I don't want to have like massively jacked up forearms to begin with. So no, I don't.
Makes your wrist look smaller though.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
I mean, yeah, you want to have this like drumstick wing. Yeah, I get that. Totally get that.
Oh,
I don't train them directly though.
So what works best for building them?
I would say probably training them directly. Outside of just like, I mean, they get trained when we grab literally anything. You know what I mean? Like we do have those wrist wraps that definitely help out, but like, we still do like walking lunges and rows and shit. We're still gripping that shit. It's not like you just let go, because if you let go, that shit just drops. But I mean, I feel gimmicky just trying to give out like forearm exercises, especially because I don't do them. So,
all right. So no, I do not isolated train my forearms.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
But my recommendations for building forearms: hold some heavy ass shit and do hammer curls.
I was just about to say, you can just do hammers. That's kind of like
do hammer curls. Honestly, dual purpose. Hit your buys, grab yourself a little forearm action, jerk off. You're good. Anyway,
but don't forget to switch, guys, because come on, you're gonna end up with like one jacked arm, one not jacked arm. So
also don't do that. Don't do it in the gym. That would be weird. Don't do 2 sets of jerks and call it good.
True. Not the place. Save it for home.
Yeah, save it for the home gym.
Yep. Car ride back home. No, I'm totally kidding. That might be dangerous.
Oh man. All right. We're crushing these questions. We're gonna keep moving.
I know we're primed from
we're speed running this
now.
one. I wrote down so many questions, so I'm trying to get through as many of them as possible.
What I only get to 2, so
what are some ways to increase your appetite? There's a lot of them. There's a lot of different ways.
Sleep. Sleep.
Not my first.
Not my first go-to, but just something that popped up in my head. Just because I've noticed it so much with myself, is that if I have like a nice night's sleep, I wake up nice and hungry, and I actually have like a solid day of eating. But in terms of getting, we're probably gonna have 2 different approaches, just because our brains kind of think a little bit differently, which is good. Sometimes very similarly as well.
That's why we do this podcast.
Exactly. So honestly, I think the reason why someone would even want to do that in the first place, kind of like trying to get a little bit more hungry, might be because they've gotten to the point where food is just unattractive to them now because they've been maybe force feeding. So what I would suggest is tapering back for like a week or so on that food, just a little bit, just to kind of get your hunger back. And then you can kind of trickle it back in for yourself.
That actually was going to be one of my answers.
Yes.
Yeah. So some people like to call them mini cuts. Honestly, it's a couple different ways to think about it. But yeah, so pull your food back for a week. I promise you won't lose all your gains. And it might re-stimulate your appetite. That's one good way to do it. Train harder. Demand yourself to need more food. Do some cardio.
Yep.
That's another good way. What did I
Stress
say?
levels down as well.
Of course, yeah. Take care of all of your other recovery methods.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the foods you're eating.
True.
Yep. Actually, also look at overall your diet. How many fats are you consuming? Fats are going to slow down your digestion of carbs. And so if you're constantly throwing in a lot of fats into your meal, it's going to continue to slow down that digestion. And when that happens, you're just not moving food through, quickly. And so you're going to be less hungry. That's why people don't want to hear this. That's why one reason why the keto diet is effective is because you're consuming so much fat and protein, which protein is already a slow digesting macro. And then on top of that, all of the fats that you're consuming, your food digestion is so slow, you don't need to eat a lot.
Yeah, you're like super
You're
satiated.
like, you can eat 2
Plus,
meals and be fucking great.
yeah.
Right. So that's one reason why I wasn't even going to get into this. That's one reason why keto works. It slows down your digestion. You're satiated and full for way longer. Right. The other reason why it works, you've literally thrown out an entire macro.
Thank you.
Like you just limited your foods that you can eat.
Yeah.
So you're going to eat less. It's not magic. It's it's changing ketones and all that bullshit. Grand scheme of things, you're eating less.
Yeah. Bullshit. Yeah. And even the people that are like, oh, I am keto and I'm eating like 200 grams of protein. It's like, bro, I'm not trying to get all nerdy on you guys, but like there's this thing called the gluconeogenesis where you can literally just create glucose from a fat or a protein molecule. Like that's what your body's super fucking effective at, things like that. So it can just create that. And now you're not in ketosis, And so the unfortunate thing is that people just associate cutting those carbs out and then bam, they lose all that weight. But what happens behind the scenes is exactly what Brady said. All these things kind of slow down to keep you more satiated. You've cut out an entire macro. Like if you look like on
You've literally dropped all of the food that's in your cupboard.
Yeah. It's
every single bit of it.
Generally speaking, carbohydrates will make up 50% of the overall macros that you're going to eat in that one day. So if you just take out 50% of your calories, so total 2,000, and then you cut out 1,000 calories, guys, that's the reason why you're losing weight. If you cut 1,000 calories from protein or fats and carbs all across the board, you would still get the same effect with those carbs in there.
We should definitely do this as a Snack'em episode and go into it. Because keto's a big thing, and a lot of people don't understand why it works. Because it does work. It works for a lot of people. A lot of people find it really easy to follow. Just got to eat protein and fats. That's awesome. If that works for them, great. Right? But it's not because of some magic. It's not.
Yeah, like a clock. Like there isn't like someone inside like twisting this thing. There's like gears and shit. Like there's a thought behind it. It's not just like some little clock turning elf in there. Like there's a reason, and it's just unfortunate because a lot of people just think that there's an elf in there, and like the magic happens because carbohydrates are the devil, and like they need to not eat them.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this right now, hit the like button. That'll tell us you want to do a Snack'em episode on keto, and we'll get that one done. So yeah, we won't we won't delve any further into this. We wanted to end here soon, because we both need to eat.
True.
Okay, this is a good one, and we'll probably end it after this one. All right. Would you rather experience the first day of the world or the last day of the world?
And then I can't experience anything else after that.
That's it.
Mama. Man. Is the last day of the world like comets raining down, like like exploding our Earth?
Maybe if that's how the world ends.
I'm just gonna go with a first day of the world kind of a scene.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Not a chance for me.
All
I
right,
would
give it to
much
me.
rather
Try and
see the end of
convince
the
me,
world.
Brady. Convince me.
Okay, so think about what the world is.
Got you.
It's a rock, right? Everything on this rock had to grow. The first day of the world, you were literally just looking at a rock.
Okay. So
Like-
technically, there's no oxygen even to begin with. I'd die instantly. So I
Imagine
myself.
you're an omniscient being. You're an extraterrestrial, right? And you're
Got you.
just seeing the formation of our solar system, right?
All right. Okay.
The Earth, there's nothing special to the Earth on day one
Okay.
because it hasn't grown all of the things that it took billions on billions on billions of years to grow. In fact, I think at first the Earth was just ridden with fucking volcanoes. So it literally just looked like the moon, but lava, like lots of lava and volcanoes everywhere. So craters, right? All of our lakes and stuff are just fucking craters in the earth that filled with water. Just a thought.
Totally fair enough. Totally fair enough, Brady. Yeah.
Um,
We had a like fuck ton of, honestly, I can tell you from the stromatolite period, which was like the very first thing ever. So like our Earth is 4 billion years old. The universe as we know it is, I think, 12 billion years old. Stromatolites were the first organism that was basically in the sea that could take in, there was no oxygen around, so they could take in, I think it was fucking, I don't know, pick whatever fucking element you want, and then they could they can generate oxygen, and then basically they super saturated the water with oxygen, and then that the oxygen from the water leached into the air and then gave us like air that we can breathe. And now you have aerobic. So they were the first anaerobic organisms that gave life to aerobic organisms, things that could breathe life.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
That's out of a book, right?
Nice. Yeah. But I mean, I guess what kind of defines the world? First day of the world, is it really just like The Rock, or is it really, yes, Dwayne Johnson? Or is the first day of the world, when organisms started blossoming? And the thing is, it's like evolution
this would be
is
pre-organism
so slow,
era. Yeah,
right?
that would be like a pre-organism era.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I would rather see the end and just like watch its absolute destruction.
What about this one? No one technically, right? No one knows how it started, but everyone will know how it ends.
Well, everyone that's alive will know how it ends.
Yeah, true. Yeah, like peeps in like the 19s and 18s. Sorry. Not gonna know. We're not gonna know. I mean, I hope we don't figure it out. Knock on wood. But I still am on the side of conception. I don't want to die also, dude.
No.
I mean,
No. We're from Mars.
Still a being.
I suppose we're obviously conscious enough to understand that we're seeing the beginning or the end. I don't know, man. What if it's the Death Star and it's just like,
Yo. Yo, we gotta clip that. We just get Death Starred. Okay. And this is just Earth, right? It's not like entire everything, right? It's just Earth.
First day of the world. Yeah. So just Earth.
It would be a hell of a lot more exciting seeing the end.
Yeah. Just fucking, or maybe like a giant meteor just like goes through the center of the Earth, and then you get this giant mushroom cloud. Like, that'd be sick.
Yeah, like straight from the center. It's like,
yeah, it'd be sick. And we're all watching it from the moon.
Okay.
Because Elon, you know, Daddy Elon has taken us all to the moon, just like GameStop. And
rest in peace, all you bag holders.
Rest in peace. All you diamond handers. Yep. Anyway.
Total.
Yeah, so we're all on the moon now. Well, just the elite are on the moon now. And we just get to watch this fucking asteroid just for you audio listeners. I hope you could just picture what just happened. It was elegant.
What about this one? Ready? Okay, so when it comes to conception, it was almost like the reverse, where like there was a bunch of fucking shit, and then it was like, and it like molded together in this giant ball of hotness. And as time goes on, unfortunately, we don't have time though.
The Big Bang Theory is that, right? There was a giant explosion.
So the Big Bang Theory is essentially,
I don't know.
I love this shit, if you couldn't tell with the whole fucking stromatolite thing. So the Big Bang Theory was essentially all the mass that ever existed ever, right? So you, me, the laptop that we're on, the state that we're in, the world that we're on, the galaxy that we're inside, all of the mass ever, those the universes, right? Because like we live in a galaxy amongst other galaxies as well. Like we live in this giant universe. So everything in the entire universe, right, compressed into one little point that could like literally like a grain of salt, right? That could fit like on the point of a needle, all of the mass. And I know that's like really fucking hard to imagine, but that thing was really fucking heavy, and it was all getting sucked in, right, to the point of that one point. And then basically there was like a tipping point where something kind of like tipped, and then everything exploded out from that one point. And that is what the Big Bang is. And then, and as that stuff comes out, molecules began to associate with themselves, and the universe was really fucking hot when that began. And then as time goes on, things cooled down, molecules settled down, and elements were formed, rocks were formed. They still had mass though. So like universes were forming and galaxies were like colliding with each other, and like this, that, the other, like all of this shit was happening. And like here we are just like on this tiny little ball, like in our own little galaxy in the universe, like slowly cooling down.
Is that a global warming?
That's global warming.
Or is it global cooling?
Cooling.
Nice.
We just solved what do you want to call it? Problem?
Yeah. Okay. So, ooh. Yeah, I guess if you think about the first day of the world being the Big Bang, that'd be fucking cool.
I think what happened was something hit like a big ass rock. Like I think we were actually like way bigger before, and we actually weren't a thing. And then something like hit another thing, and here we are.
Yeah.
So it'd be like the reverse, you know? That's why I was like, conception is kind of cool. But then it could end any other fucking way, you know?
Right.
I mean? Like volcanoes, meteors, Death Star. Yeah. Scorpions, dude. They could come through.
Swallowed by a black hole. Or a black hole just forms.
Everywhere. Yeah.
We get ripped through space-time continuum.
We just end up in a different galaxy.
And we end up in a completely different galaxy. Everybody thinks backwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, man. Well, shit.
That's tough, man. Now I don't know. It would be cool to see like the beginning of it all.
Yeah. And now I'm like, any way they could end it. It's
I
kind of
know.
cool though, you know. All right, we'll have to meet. Oh God, yeah, it's hard, guys. What do you guys think? Honestly, like in the comments.
Yeah.
Drop it.
Would you rather see the first day or the last day? It's tough. I don't know. There's some really good points for both sides.
Yeah. You know what's trippy is I'm gonna fuck this wording up. Death is basically consciousness into nothingness, and birth or conception is nothingness into consciousness.
That we know
of. Because when you think about it, our consciousness is here right now, and then we die, and it turns into nothingness
that we know.
Right. Personally, I don't just think it's like a black screen, and you're just like,
Yeah.
But then birth, though, is very much so like nothingness turning into something, you know, or a consciousness out of nothingness.
Yeah.
Grandma, I hope my grandma's not watching this.
It's all right. Our viewership stats point towards no.
Towards non-Christian. No.
Yeah. I don't know. Let us know, guys. We need to.
Yeah, we need your help.
We don't know. But it would be really cool to see, like, if you could time lapse everything that's ever happened from like a single point of view. Like, watch Earth from a single point of view, time lapse from beginning all the way to end. That would be cool as fuck.
Yeah, I think so too.
Right? Like, it's development and growth and death and decay and how it changed and what things almost hit us.
Sun fizzles out, dude.
Yeah.
Ice Age.
All the time, man.
Yeah, man.
I don't think ours is anywhere close. At least that's what scientists tell us.
Yeah, I think we need like I'm not going to put a number on it, but yeah, it's far away.
However, just going to say this. If it was close, do you think they would say so? Be real.
No.
Not a fucking chance.
Yeah, no way.
Not a fucking chance would that be told.
No way.
Like, oh, wow, we've got 30 years left.
Yeah.
This thing's getting ready to blow. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think they would say that. Because then all the motherfuckers are like, I've got nothing to lose.
Right. Yeah. Same with if an asteroid or something was actually going to hit Earth. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'd say anything. Unless they knew they were going to stop it. And even then, they probably wouldn't say until it was already done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like in all the movies, I don't think they ever like tell the people. Like they were just like out there trying to stop the asteroid from coming, and everyone's just like,
nice.
Yeah.
Is that a new moon? Yeah. It is crazy though. You know, when you see a shooting star, right? It's moving so fast, or something is moving fast, right? Whether that's the star actually traveling through the universe or whether that's our speed. I want to
pause you.
Go.
Only because this was literally a question that came up on, I forgot what it was. Pictionary. It was. Yeah, I was playing Pictionary with Zach, Dan, and Darian, and the whole crew. Like, shout out to you guys. And then So the question was like, is the light that you see from a shooting star million miles away or here? Basically, it's right in front of us. It's happening in it happens in our atmosphere, actually. So it's very close. And an asteroid comes into our atmosphere. There's nothing like kind of out in that atmosphere. So it comes into our atmosphere. Yeah. And then it burns up inside of our atmosphere. Right. So we're seeing that like happen right there and then. But a star is stationary, pointed straight at us, and we're just receiving that light from like millions of years.
Right.
Word.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah. Dude, I was trying to explain that to everyone in my Pictionary team, and they're like, no, Capo. I was like, all right, whatever. I mean,
how do you draw that? What?
We got it wrong.
How is that a question?
There's Pictionary is actually mad fun. You could, some of them you draw, but then others you just like answer. Like sometimes they just like give you like a question and you just answer it. You have to like talk amongst your team.
Huh.
Yeah, mad fun.
Yeah, that makes way more sense that it's just another rock that caught fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but to think about that, it's still moving pretty fast.
That thing's cooking. Yeah,
things in the universe move fast.
Yeah, we're moving really fast too.
We are moving very fast.
Yeah.
Whoa, just got dizzy.
Oh, welcome to our podcast with the cheesiest of cheese. Yeah.
So welcome to the weekly astrologic
and astrologic. Yeah.
The weekly astrologist. There it is. Yes. Jesus. Well,
I love our podcast.
This is too good. All right, but we'll call it there. Anyway, let us know in the comments which one you would rather see, first day of the world or last day of the world, in whatever way that means to you and what you think the first day of the world is coined as. Just because I'm freaking curious. Anyway, if you haven't yet and you're one of the 85% of people that watch this podcast and are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. You know you want to. You just forget about it. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, we really appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed that random space talk that we just had.
Yeah.
That's the fun stuff, right? Outside of bodybuilding, we're all people. So, yeah. Brandon, it was good catching up. We'll chat in a little bit, I'm sure.
Always a pleasure.
We'll eat some food and put on some weight, dude.
Later, dude.
All right, guys. We'll catch you later.